The dance of the ladies of the woods, the birch. They really have an elegance, a supple gracefulness. Say to and fro in the wind. They looked awfully bare without their leaves, but now they've got their clothes on, they wear it well. I thought that would be a nice peaceful way to start. Because I'm back in the woods. Finally. A bit of a weekender. And adventures to boot, I hope. So what you're looking at here is pussy willow catkins, absolutely littering the whole of this forest floor. So this would be a good time to go into combustibles, I think. Fire starting bits and pieces. We'll just go and have a little wander. I've already been gathering some of this, which is, well, I call it old man's ear here. But it's like a cotton wool substance. 4 or 5 minutes to collect that. Just by plucking away. And I was wondering, could this be woven into a fabric? So we could wear trees instead of bits of animals. I'm sure someone has already probably done this or something, I don't know. Maybe it's not even doable. Point would be though that this is highly flammable, so you probably wouldn't want to wear anything that's made from it. But it is a very wool substance, almost like a cotton wool bud. And you can see it's such fine fibres that much like sheep wool or cotton, fused together. It's a flash thing really to get your sparks going with. Load a couple of sparks off a ferrous rod or something along those lines, any kind of sparks on there, and that will go up. It's pretty good for that. But also, you know, if you need to get something that's a little bit slower to burn, sometimes like the fat wood can take just a little bit of something to get it going, that would definitely do it. So here we have a fallen Scots pine. I discovered this last year actually, and it was ripe with fat wood, and it was all in this area here and up top. As you can see, I chopped through there and had a huge piece of fat wood. It was maybe not grade A, but it was flammable, and some parts of it were a gorgeous colour, but the majority of it was just flammable really. So I could chop into this, knowing full well that this edge here has got it running through there, and even in here. Looks like a bit of effort at the moment. I'm not sure I'm willing to put it into this. Yeah, you can see a bit of the fat wood on there. No, we'll carry on looking around a bit. There's plenty of other trees like this. Head around this birch, silver birch. Very sharp bark, but still little traces of the original bark when it was younger. So you won't get no fat wood out of that. Looking up at this one, this is a Scots pine, which is good for fat wood or tree sap. There's little bits of it, very small. It's in good health apart from the lean on it. So obviously the sap is where it's been wounded or damaged. We'll go into all that. Another Scots pine. Little bits. Nothing really all that worth having a go for. But we're in the right area. I would imagine that over there, if indeed it is a pine, which I think it is, there's going to be some bloody good fat wood in there. Again, lots of effort, and it's a beautiful day. I don't want to be sweating through it. Any of these limbs could contain it. Looks like I've had a look here actually. So the underside is often a good place. And here's another one of these stumps. Very rotten. But these bits here would have some in. A little bit in there. Let's just have a quick look. I'm at a stage where I've run out of fat wood now from the previous season. It has kind of got an expiry date, although it's not terrible. It will usually light for a good few years, I've found anyway. But we're going to have a little saw on that just to see if there's anything fresh in this rot. Right, now straight away you can tell there is something in there because there's a fair bit of weight on this end. This end's quite light, but this end's quite heavy. And there's that smell. Again, it's not red, but it's fat wood. So we can snap a bit off because none of that will be any good. And yeah, split that later, get shavings, whatever, but that will certainly do the job that we need. Yeah, it loses the smell around there, but plenty down this end. So that little nugget is probably all we'll need for today. I do need to stock up on this, so I'm going to keep my eyes open because there is plenty of it around. And then there's plenty more branches there, really. That's got plenty in there, in fact. You can always tell, I find, I mean, this is all obviously very, very dead, yet this has still got life in it. I mean, you compare that to that, there's no comparison. That's because this is filled with a longevity tannin. No doubt now that in this space here would be some very good quality cottonwood, and I might at a later stage just go into here a bit. Yeah, that absolutely stinks of it. So that's another good piece. Yeah, and the smell has gone by here. Although you can kind of see the orangey sections of it. And this side very orangey. So another nice bit to take home. So we'll walk on. These things, obviously part of the fir family. They really do go up almost flash style. They can stifle your fire by the embers they leave, so you don't want to overdo these things. But a handful's good. Oh, and here we have got more pussy willow, goat willow, and it is really fluffy. It's almost like snow, but it's obviously been untouched by the winds. The birds are particularly rampant in this area, but these have got a lot of fluff on. So I would like to take a bag of these back so I can take the fluff, because it's not going to be here forever, and it is a great tinder, flash tinder. mark this point, come back. I have not brought my bag, so I do actually need to get a bag as well. I'm carrying loads of stuff in my pockets. That's probably too far, isn't it? Yeah, that's very dead. I don't think there'll be anything left. But also on the list, I would like is some tree sap. I'm pretty sure I know where I can get some of that. And some birch bark. And I think I know a place that would be good for that. Oh, it's a lovely little sunny spot. A little bit treacherous. We're alive. These little black fungus, they used to scare the crap out of me when I was younger. I don't know why, but it's like some sort of disease or something when I was young. But their little ears, I'll look them up and find out what they are, the exact name. But they do look a little bit like those other types of ears. I don't think I would like to eat them. Black is not normally my favourite colour of things to eat. So here we have bittersweet, is its common name. It's Solomon and also nightshade. So as you may know, nightshade is not the most friendly of plants. It's a climbing plant, often woody, like that stem down the bottom there is turning woody, leading into these bright green climbing shrubs that will eventually have berries on them. Now, it's not deadly poisonous. You don't want to mess around with it, that's for sure, but you will know that it tastes strong if you digest it, because it is bittersweet. It doesn't make it past the throat, really. You'll taste it and you'll think, oh god, that tastes lemon, not right. So yeah, there we have it, bittersweet. It's actually been a mysterious cause of many deaths for smaller mammals, dogs and sheep even, have fallen prey to this nasty little plant. And there is tales of small children eating the berries, but like I say, it's very rare you'll get that case. But it's rife here, as this is perfect conditions in this marsh here for it to grow. So I'm not giving it a wide berth, but I'm not going to be playing around with this. One to note, just get a look at the leaf pattern. And as I say, it's often a woodish stem with climbing greens that will climb around anything they can. I found my sharpened butter knife to be pretty much the best tool for this job. You can get right underneath the bark there. And that will make that a lot easier to take a slice. Sorry about my camera work. Yeah, and there we have our piece of birch bark. All we need to do is just scrape this damp matter off. Don't have to, but it's preferable. This is very flammable, and this is not flammable really, so it kind of equalises out a little bit. So you need to scrape a bit of that dead punk wood. Some of it's actually quite wet. This is quite a fresh fallen tree actually. Be nice to get a bit of birch wood out of that maybe. But yeah, quite fresh fallen. But yeah, there's another one ticked off the list. Silver birch. Right, so here on this this Scots pine, we've got it was downed last year, but we've got an abundance of tree sap. It's not the nicest smelling tree sap, but you know, I don't think it'd be much good as an incense. Let's have a look. I don't know, it's quite sweet, but yeah, that's a great flammable substance, and there is a lot of it here. There's a bit of wood in there, but that is mainly tree sap, that big lump. Notice how I use a blade that I don't care too much on the sticky side of things. I can easily clean this blade, and also there's no mechanism in which you can get all gammed up like a pocket knife, for example. It's quite easily get that sticky resin inside your folding knife part, and then that is a bugger. But as long as you just got to clean it off of a blade, that isn't too bad. Yeah, so I'm not going to be greedy, but that'll do. Took what, 2 minutes? So I'll package that up, and then we'll move on to my next one, which is similar, but hopefully a fragrance which is just like no other. So, see you shortly. It's a little bit of a hike. That's where I want to get to. It's that gorgeous meadow. Been left since last year just to grow. We've got dock leaf, we've got all kinds of things in here. A lovely, beautiful glade. Bit of a sun trap too. And then, if that isn't pretty enough for you, we've got a lovely little stream. Get across here somewhere. I think around here. See the monk jack behind the tree now. That will make him out on this camera. I might be able to zoom in on that. But yeah. This could be a bit awkward. Might have to be a bit of a jump. So before I get wet and really pissed off, let's just enjoy this little chilled moment. This all comes from a natural spring leading towards a bigger lake. Lots of little lakes along the way, but it's a big spring. I don't think we're going to get many pike in there. Quite shallow, but it's deep enough for me to get wet, so I'm going to turn the camera off while I probably make a complete arse of myself getting across here. I would set it up, but I've got to get over there, haven't I? I don't fancy doing this twice. Back in high school I had a good leaping on me, but it's a stretching it, especially with that bank. Oh well, see you shortly. Success and dry feet. So this is roughly the area I was looking for. A beautiful hawthorn reaching up, very tall, and what looks like to be a buzzard nest over there. But yeah, hopefully this isn't too marshy, but this is what I'm after. This is the climax, as to say, of my little journey. It's a Douglas fir. Again, one of my favourites. I'm not going to put it in the top 10 or anything, but smell wise, this could be number one. This time of year, especially, it will form these little blisters, and they are actually filled with a little oil, very pure oil, unlike tree sap. This is actually like a golden syrup almost, and you can kind of flatten them and collect the oil in small amounts. There is a little bit there, and I shall try to get that without damaging the tree. As much as I can of that, because that will smell unbelievable on an incense, on a burner. Oh my word, that smell. So yeah, the Douglas fir is quite distinctive because of the, like I say, these lesions, lenticles, and they're filled with a highly flammable resin. The branches are quite equal as they go up the tree. They like to grow in a ring formation, normally 4, 5, 6 around the tree, every couple of feet or or even less than that, every 1.5 feet, which makes it a very easy to climb tree. And the branches are very strong because of the density of this wood, as well as the ability to hold resin. It gives it extra strength, and that isn't likely to bust away from the tree, whereas other trees like to let go of their lower branches a lot more, and climbing a tree could be risky because of that. But I'm fairly sure that you could scamper up that quite easily. I'm not going to, because maybe one day, but not today. But they are the easiest of trees to climb, and one of the safest. That said, wear a harness or a rope or something. Don't be silly, and don't go too far. So, the Douglas fir. It's the first time I've featured this. There isn't many around here, unfortunately, but this is a gorgeous smelling tree, so I'm going to get on and harvest a little bit of this so I can add it to the incense burner later, mainly. Right, so hopefully I've got a good angle on this. Just to give you an example, this one here is looking rather plump. Just give it a little lift. And there you see this golden amber. So I'm going to put that in this little bag here, and do a couple more, because this is not something you should do too much to the tree. A little bit is okay, but yeah, you could damage this thing digging around too much on them. And here we have a younger Douglas fir. I say younger, still probably 40-50 years old, but you can clearly see these little look like boils, don't they, basically. I first noticed this a while back, just by walking past, and something like this scratching one of these bubbles open, and I smelt it immediately, and I was like, oh my god, you know. And it took me a while to find out exactly where it was, but since then I've been hooked. I won't touch this one. Small quantities of this. I've literally just got a quarter of a teaspoonful, which is a very minuscule amount, and I think the tree can take what I had. But yeah, leave this for future generations. But yeah, less is more. The fantastic Douglas fir. So here's a nice scenic little spot. Almost makes you want to get your little fishing rod out. In vain, I would think. It's far too shallow. But here we have a piece of that oil. You can see it's like an amber nectar. It's tree blood, obviously. But I've collected a very small amount in this little plastic bag. There's multiple uses for this. I used it successfully last year for keeping the flies away. I've mentioned this before, but I believe, long story short, I believe a lot of the nasty mosquito biting insects, or in fact all insects across the board, know and recognise this smell now. We have examples of amber which contain mosquitoes from very, very, very long ago, and I think they might have evolved enough to have the sense not to go near this smell, and maybe they relate to it as being a sticky substance and a dangerous substance. But either way, just the smell of this bag in my tent is enough to last for a few months. So that's my main use for it. If there's an excess, which there isn't much, but maybe a little luxury, I would add it to an incense burner. It's going to be highly flammable. Well, not highly, it takes a little bit of warming. Oh, and the smell you get from that is just something else. Yeah, you can see, very flammable. Oh, it's far more concentrate than it is as it is. But that smells divine. It's, how would you sum that up? Nature's finest, quite frankly. As smells go, I don't think there is much that beats that. I do really like the smell of lavender. Really, really. So this might be my number 2 smell, but it just brings back memories of forgotten times and forgotten places and thousands of years ago. I don't know, it's almost prehistoric. And when you look at the tree, it does look a little prehistoric. I'm guessing it's a very old tree.